In the near time, a German biotech firm named Aeon is introducing a medical process that can transfer years from one person's life to another's, provided they are a compatible match. This advancement enables individuals in urgent need of funds to trade several years of their lifespan, accelerating their aging. Conversely, the recipient of this time gains back their youthful appearance, essentially granting wealthy individuals a form of immortality. Typically, it's individuals in financial distress who agree to relinquish their time, although Aeon consistently presents it as a choice and a contribution. In this envisioned future, a significant population of migrants and asylum seekers exists, and this becomes their sole means of livelihood. Notably, the company prioritizes granting time to scholars, artists, and celebrities, with recent additions including Nobel winners. Max, Aeon's most effective donation manager, engages with potential sellers, including a teenager from a migrant family. Max persuades the youth to sell 15 years of his life by sharing his own experience of selling 5 years to fund his education. He also highlights the slim likelihood of the teen's family achieving legal stability and suggests the money could help them establish a business. Max's manipulation secures the deal. Back at the company premises, he put on a raincoat to shield himself from protesters who target workers with projectiles due to the company's technology, amplifying social and economic inequality. Inside, Max is honored with an award at a ceremony and listens to the founder Sophie Thyssen's speech on the significance of their work. Simultaneously, at an Aeon clinic, a man disguised as an employee opens fire on patients, leaving behind the A symbol of the anti-Aeon organization, the Atom Group. The group employs terrorism to oppose Aeon and apparently safeguard society. Later, Sophie, alongside guards Kaya and Nowak, views a video message from Atom's leader, Lilith, hinting at further disruption. When Max gets back home, he makes a special dinner for his wife Elena to share their achievement. Even though they haven't paid off the flat yet, but they dream of having kids, so they decide to get a little affectionate before dinner since they want children. The following day, the couple visits Elena's parents. Her dad jokes about maybe buying some extra years for himself while expressing disapproval of Max's job due to ethical concerns. Elena intervenes to prevent an argument. During their journey home, Max wishes Elena would defend him more actively instead of maintaining a neutral stance. Upon arriving at their apartment building, they find their home on fire, resulting in the loss of possessions and their savings. Their insurance claim is denied, citing a reported candle as the fire's cause. Despite Elena's claim of always extinguishing candles, the official account remains unquestioned. Adding to his troubles, Max discovers that Elena had offered 40 years of her life as collateral to secure a bank loan, a fact she kept hidden from him. Max attempts to substitute his own years as collateral but is rejected due to a lack of compatible recipients, a situation he finds confusing as he had previously donated, but apparently the recipient recently died. As they leave the insurance company, Elena is apprehended by the police to prevent her from fleeing the country. Max vows to find an alternative solution and appeals to Sophie for assistance, receiving a promise to look into the matter. Sophie is in a meeting with shareholders. They are tired of wasting resources on checking for compatible DNA because it means some people may never get the chance to buy some extra years, and genetic dispositions are very rare. They call Sophie too biased. Days later, Max's lawyer informs him of Sophie's lack of response and neglect of their calls. Left with no alternative, Max visits the clinic in an attempt to see Elena, only to be informed that he must wait until the procedure concludes. Driven to desperation, Max tries to reach his wife by barging into different rooms, but he is restrained by Kaya and her team. Meanwhile, Elena undergoes the procedure, and hearing a lawyer read the contract makes her finally snap and she begins struggling against the doctors. Eventually subdued by injection, she is connected to a machine that transfers 38 years to an unknown recipient in a separate room. Afterward, Max brings Elena home, yet she remains silent. Over the following days, Elena's appearance rapidly ages, and she becomes unable to face herself in the mirror. Max's efforts to provide comfort and support result in an increasingly tense and awkward relationship. One morning, Max is summoned to the company and informed of a promotion and salary increase, a development that holds little significance in the current circumstances. Enraged, he tries to confront Sophie, but Kaya intervenes to prevent his approach. Sophie ignores Max's plea and drives away, though he notices her appearance regaining youthfulness. Later, at home, Max endeavors to connect with Elena, expressing his enduring love, but she reads it as pity and asks to be left alone. Once Max leaves, Elena experiences abdominal pain and rushes to the bathtub, where she begins to bleed. Meanwhile, Max takes a stroll to a park to have a beer and clear his mind. There, he encounters a girl selling illegal uppers, but he quickly declines. A few hours later, Elena finds herself in the hospital due to her abdominal pain. Max accompanies her and is stunned to discover that before her procedure, Elena had been pregnant, and the bleeding she experienced was a miscarriage, a consequence of her aged body's inability to sustain a pregnancy. Disappointed with their current situation, Elena decides to move back in with her parents, a decision Max supports despite his heartbreak. He promises to find a way to reverse the procedure, but Elena's father tells him off, reminding him this is the system he helped to create. Desperate for answers, Max seeks out the girl from the park, hoping to extract information about the illegal procedures she's undergone, as Aeon strictly avoids creating kids. The girl offers a contact that leads Max to an underground organization conducting age transplant surgeries in neighboring Lithuania. Following instructions, Max obtains a burner phone and forged passports from a shady neighborhood. He's instructed to locate the recipient who acquired Elena's transferred time. Max lays low in a hotel and prepares a plan to abduct Sophie, convinced that her sudden rejuvenation and refusal to assist him are more than coincidental. After days of surveillance, Max seizes an opportunity when he finds Sophie alone in a cemetery. After hiding his face, he approaches the now young-looking Sophie, who begins yelling for help and running. Max catches up quickly and tasers her until she falls unconscious. Then he paints an A on a grave to make it look like the Atom Group did this. Afterward, Max gets Elena from her workplace, urging her to trust him. They travel to an abandoned building where Max has taken Sophie captive. Despite initial resistance, Max convinces Elena that this is the only chance to rebuild their lives and have a family. Back at the cemetery, Kaya and Nowak begin investigating the situation, using security camera footage to trace Max's movements. Despite his efforts to conceal his actions through fake accounts, Nowak manages to connect the trail to Max's real account. Nowak wonders if they should call the cops, but Kaya refuses. Upon reaching the abandoned building, Max and Elena have already gone. While Elena and Max make their way to the harbor, Kaya and Nowak prepare a new operation to catch them, this time with the help of the police. Nowak reveals how Max and Elena first met. Initially assigned as Elena's donation manager, they fell in love during the sales process and eventually got married. Nowak admits his sympathy for desperate individuals, but Kaya discloses her true age of 64 and her personal reluctance to undergo body modifications. But she does it for the job because she owes Sophie a lot. At the harbor, Max and Elena successfully board a ship but are soon spotted on a security camera, leading Nowak to track their location. Max takes care of Sophie every few hours in her concealed box, providing her with food and drink. In the evening, the couple observes a happy family and dreams of having their child someday. Suddenly, a child mentions unusual lights on the shore. Max and Elena come out to discover the police are waiting for them in Lithuania. Thinking on his feet, Max utilizes the family's presence to his advantage. When the police inspect outgoing vehicles, Max forces the family father to drive his van. He pretends to be a delivery worker transporting a bathtub, but the cops get suspicious because he looks very nervous. They ask to see the back of the van, where Sophie and Elena are hiding inside a bathtub. The cops look at the box and demand the man to open it fully, and when the poor guy hesitates, they ask him why he's so nervous. Through a Bluetooth earbud, Max tells the guy to say that he's nervous because he's never been held at gunpoint before. The leader of the operation notices his officer isn't handling this situation well and lets the driver go to avoid being called out for misconduct. The wife arrives in another car with her baby, and Max hides in the back with the child held at gunpoint. The police allow her to pass. The family later reunites by the road, but Max destroys their phones, shoots a tire, and then lets them go. Elena feels guilt as she hears the baby cry. Max and Elena depart with Sophie still tied up in the bathtub. Hours later, they stop in the middle of the road, allowing Sophie to empty her pee bucket. However, Sophie reveals that she's actually Marie, Sophie's daughter. They just happen to look a lot alike now that her mother went through the procedure. Max is skeptical and checks online, discovering information suggesting Marie is deceased. Marie explains that she deliberately stayed out of the spotlight to avoid media attention. Despite Max's disbelief, Marie insists she's on their side, dismissing her mother's unethical work. Tensions rise between Elena and Max, and he insists Maria should still be a DNA match for Elena, causing Elena to leave in protest. Eventually, they find an abandoned hotel and decide to spend the night there. Marie requests a shower, during which Max turns away to give her privacy. Seizing the opportunity, Marie strikes Max and runs away. Marie immediately runs into the woods, where it's dark and there's no signal for the phone she stole. She notices a light nearby, meaning she's being chased, so she hurries up. But when she's about to cross what she thought is a big puddle, it turns out to be a deep hole, and she begins sinking, struggling to hold onto a fallen tree and has no choice but to yell for help. Luckily, the light turns out to be Elena, who quickly helps her get out. They return to the hotel, and Marie gets a much-needed shower. While undressing, Elena notices a lack of procedure scars, confirming Marie's identity. She informs Max, who explains the skin could have regenerated due to the procedure, and reminds Elena that he's doing this so they can have a baby. He tells Elena she deserves better and kisses her, which then escalates into getting busy while tied-up Marie can hear them from the tub. Meanwhile, Nowak informs Kaya that he's found the location of the couple and they get ready to go after them. The next morning, Max and Elena are woken up at gunpoint. They are members of the Adam Group, led by Lilith. After confirming Marie's true identity, Lilith takes them to an abandoned building and reveals Sophie's true intentions. Sophie sought an aged donor for her own use, and that person happened to be Elena. Max was assigned to facilitate the donation, but he and Elena fell in love and got married. When Sophie needed the donation, she burned down their apartment on purpose and had Max's match killed to prevent him from donating some of his years. Then Max accuses Lilith of being a murderer. Lilith then gives Elena a gun with a single bullet, forcing her to choose between killing Marie or herself. Unable to make the decision, Elena drops the gun. Lilith then points out everyone is a pacifist when they're forced to take lives themselves, but they have no problem allowing doctors to do the same on their behalf. Suddenly, a message on Max's burner phone discloses the location of an illegal clinic, valid for 6 hours. The couple must cooperate with Lilith to eliminate Sophie if they want to make the appointment. As Kaya's team surrounds the building, Max pretends Adam isn't with them and negotiates Sophie's entry alone. A young-looking Sophie shows up and accepts the terms, but before she can enter, Kaya wonders how Max knew Sophie was with them. She realizes this is a trap, and suddenly, Nowak takes out his gun and shoots Sophie, knocking her out. Kaya immediately kills Nowak, and from inside the building, chaos ensues, with the Adam Group engaging Sophie's team. Max rushes back to the building but is knocked down by an explosion. He evades some guards, but he's grabbed by a rebel, and after exchanging a few hits, he manages to knock him out and takes Elena and Marie to the garage to escape. While Max tries to start the car, Marie tries to shoot Elena with a gun she took, but fails due to it having no bullets. Elena confronts Marie's betrayal, and she grabs Marie and hits her head against the car until she falls unconscious. They escape while Kaya goes through Nowak's phone and discovers he's been in contact with the rebels and he's been part of the Adam Group all along. Later, Max admits he doesn't want to hurt Marie or become anything like Lilith. However, Elena has had enough and kicks Max out of the car by threatening to end things for herself and proceeds to the illegal clinic. Marie is then dragged unwillingly and subjected to the procedure. Meanwhile, Max wanders around, and when he sees a bus full of immigrants leaving, he follows the path to join a refugee camp. The next morning, Marie is found walking down the road by a trucker who reunites her with Sophie, who is alive and well because she had been wearing a bulletproof vest. Kaya then quits because she's tired of killing people for business and leaves. During the following days, Marie starts to age rapidly, and yet Sophie selfishly refuses to donate some of her years to her own daughter, promising to find a donor soon. Months later, Max finds young and pregnant Elena with a new husband at the beach. When she sees him, she stays silent. Max returns to his new life as a rebel with the Adam Group, determined to bring down Sophie. Make sure you subscribe and turn on the notifications so you can watch videos like this. Until next time, goodbye.